Hitting the ball and then the ground is a crucial key that every single golfer has to have. Now the reason for this is because if you can hit the ball then the ground, you are going to see that your consistency goes through the roof, your compression goes through the roof, your distance and your accuracy, they're all going to improve. There are lots of different factors that play a role in whether you are going to achieve this ball and ground contact, but one of the most important ones is controlling your mass and your weight. So in today's video, I'm going to run through the whole swing, how you can control your mass and your weight so that at impact you give yourself the highest possible chance of hitting the ball and in the ground. If you do this, it is guaranteed to help you shoot lower scores. Just to show you how strong the correlation is between where your weight is and where your low point is, here's a quick demonstration for you. If I set up to an imaginary ball here and I put 95% of my weight on my trail leg and I keep it there the whole time, where am I going to make contact with the ground? Well, you can see pretty much in line with my trail foot. Now, if I switch that and I put all of my weight, pretty much 95% of my weight on my left foot, and then I swing, keeping it there the whole time, you can see I'm basically going to make contact level with the left foot. So if that doesn't show you that low point pretty much follows where your weight is, I don't know what will. But let's now talk about the position we're trying to achieve at impact. So as you can see there, weight plays a massive role. So at impact, we are roughly going to have about 90% of our weight on our lead leg, about 10% on the trail leg, a little bit of side bend and some rotation to the body. This is going to put you in the best possible position to where you can hit the ball and in the ground. So now that we know what position we're trying to achieve, let's jump into one of the biggest issues I see in the backswing that makes achieving this position nearly impossible. So the backswing is there to set ourselves up for the downswing. And if we get the backswing wrong, the downswing becomes very, very difficult. Remember, the downswing happens in 0.3 of a second on average. So if the backswing's wrong, good luck trying to make up all of these things in 0.3 of a second. The biggest issue that I see is players, they get too far onto their trail side of the top of the backswing. Now, I think a lot of this is to do with us coaches. We are to blame because a lot of people have heard this term of loading into the trail leg. And if I was a non-golfer and I didn't know anything about the swing, I would say that that would sound very much as if I want to put all my weight onto my right foot. But as soon as we do that, that suddenly makes it so difficult to get back to the left side in the downswing. Now, in reality, we want to create what we class as a centered pivot. Now, what does the centered pivot look like? Well, if I make a backswing and I turn to the top of my backswing right here, you can see how my left glute is still the lead side of that alignment stick. I haven't shifted all the way over there. My weight is pretty even, 50-50, maybe even slightly more on my left side, and my head is still relatively in the same position as to where it started. I might have dropped slightly, but pretty much in the same position. So you can see there wasn't a huge amount of lateral motion. Now, there's not to say that players don't have a little bit of a shift off to start the swing, because they do, and that's a fantastic momentum starter. But at the top, we want to have recentered so that we are pretty much even in our weight, maybe slightly more on our left side, and then from there the downswing is so much easier. Let's give you a drill that's going to help you with this. So what I want you to do is imagine I have a wall right outside of my left foot, and between my left hip and the wall I have a beach ball right here. Now here's the thing, I should be able to make a turn and I should be able to keep that beach ball wedged between my lead hip and the wall at all times. If I go to the top of my backswing and that I've swayed off, that beach ball is going to drop down. Now here's a great thing, you can actually do this drill. Grab a beach ball, grab even a basketball, a football, whatever it is that you have, put it up against your lead hip on the wall, feel like you can make a turn and you keep it in there. You're going to feel what it feels like to change that pressure in your feet so that you've still got a little bit more in that lead side. So let me show you what that looks like. So I'm going to imagine I've got that beach ball there. I'm going to keep it wedged between the wall and swing all the way through. This is going to help me achieve that ball and in ground contact. Let me give it a go for you here. Keep it in there and through. We've set ourselves up beautifully now with a great backswing position, but now we've got to make sure that we can get fully back to our lead side. So we are looking to obviously go here and then start down so we can get back onto that lead side way easier. Now the sensation that's going to be for you that's going to work really, really well is that you are actually pushing into the ball of your left foot. Now if you've set up correctly, you would see that your lead foot is flared, and if you haven't got it flared already, get it flared. It's going to make your life so much easier in terms of weight transfer. Now if I go to the top, I'm in this good centered position and I push into the ball of my left foot, you can see how that's shifting my mass back to my left side, and this is helping me achieve this 90-10 position. But we need to give you some direct feedback. To help you with that direct feedback, what I want you to do is to grab a basket and just pop it outside of your left leg. Now you can see it is about a hand width outside of my left leg. So if I go to the top and I shift into that left foot, you can see how I've touched the basket right there. This is going to ensure that I'm getting back to my left side. It's such a simple drill, but it is going to massively help you achieve this ball and in-ground contact. So let me show you how this works in full motion. So I've got this basket just outside of my left foot. I'm going to swing to the top, press into the left leg, make sure I can touch that basket. Here's what it looks like. And as you can see, I actually did it with such force that I was able to knock over the basket. The more force you can apply into this, the harder you're going to be able to hit it, the further the ball is going to go. So let's now run through a super simple swing thought that you can use out on a golf course to help encourage that ball and in-ground contact. So what I want you to do is pick a spot just about an inch past the golf ball. Now your aim with this spot is to control your weight so that you can hit the ball and then the ground, and that spot is then no longer going to be there. It's a super simple thought that Rory Mcilroy uses himself and loads of other tour pros use. So let me show you this right here. I'm going to pick a spot just past the ball. I'm going to focus on that good centered pivot, and I'm going to try and hit that spot so that I can promote that ball and in-ground contact. That one felt awesome, a little draw out there, and if you use that out on a golf course, you're going to see some amazing ball and in-ground contacts. If you have any questions about today's video, please drop them down in the comments down below. If you've enjoyed today's video, please give it a like and subscribe, and I hope to see you back here soon.